Hello everybody. This presentation is about the good, the bad and the ugly way of urban marketing. And the motto of this presentation is a world-famous Western film, the so-called Spaghetti Western by Sergio Leone. The music especially of the film is world-famous, but the Western itself is world-famous because in this film, the violent, simple people who shaped the Wild West are shown with a combination of bitter irony and black humor. Therefore, I'm going to present the characters of the urban marketing practice also in a polarized and simplified manner. I work for the Economic Geography and Urban Marketing Center of the John von Neumann University of Kecskemét in Budapest. Now, there are different stakeholders in urban marketing, namely the seller, who can sell the city or the place or the country, the buyers, and there are 7 major groups of the buyers. They are the target groups, and according to the topic of the presentation, this will be the casting of the film. The first target group can be named as the first, the second, the main, the third, the chief, the fourth, the long-lasting, the fifth, the much spending, the sixth, the smart, and the seventh, the indispensable. Now let's see why. The seller first, the first stakeholder is the seller. In urban marketing can be nobody else but the head of the local government, and this is the mayor. In case of Kecskemét, for example, this is the mayor of Kecskemét, and she can sell the city alone in the name of the body of the local government. Because the number of the sellers is very much limited, we say that urban marketing is competence marketing because the seller can be only one person, the representative of the state and the representative of the place that is going to be sold. Now let's see the stakeholders, the buyers of urban marketing. Who are in the first group, first target group? They are the very first customer target group, the local population. The settlement, the city, the region or the country must be sold, first of all, to the local population. Otherwise, the urban marketing is useless. The second group are that are young, mobile people. This is the main target group of urban marketing. They are the operators of the capital. They are the managers whom we know from internet, for example, the directors, the managers of big companies. The third target group is the chief group. You see in the slide that the person in this group has no face because we don't know the identity of the chief group. We don't know the real owners of capital, the real owners of the big international companies. So, but this is the most important target group because they are the buyers who can create jobs in the settlement, who can create income from the local government. They are the investors. As we go on with the stakeholders of urban marketing, we see the long-lasting group. They are the guest workers or the university students, for example, who spend years in a given settlement, in a given city, and they use the services of the city and they pay for these services, so they contribute something to the local government. The fifth group is the much spending group. They stay only for a few weeks in a settlement, in a city, a region, or country. They are the ill, those people who seek remedy, who seek medical treatment in a settlement. They stay for a couple of weeks, perhaps in the settlement, but they spend a lot of money because these services are very expensive. The next group is the smart, so-called smart group. They are usually those students who attend higher education institutions like universities. They are the university students who pay much attention to the services and to the local policy of the city where they stay for a couple of years. And the last target groups are the tourists who spend the least money. They stay only for a couple of days in a settlement, for a weekend, for example, and they don't spend too much. Only they pay the hotel bill or they pay their drinks in the local pubs. So they stand for the least income from the point of view of the local government. Nevertheless, we say that they are the indispensable target group who cannot be left out because they are young and mobile people, just like the operators of the capital. And many of them might have acquaintances among the operators of the capitals, and they may have direct links to the operators of the capitals on whose advices the investor will invest or could invest in the settlement. Now let's turn to another European folk tale, not folk tale, but fairy tale, I'm sorry. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Thou art fair, says the mirror, but Snow White is 100 times fairer. And this is the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, a well-known European fairy tale, where the queen looked into a mirror that told her the truth about her appearance. Now, let us suppose that the local government wants to have a mirror to look into and see how they really look like. There are many kinds of mirrors, and most of them distort the reflected picture in a negative or in a positive way. But a local government should have a mirror as well that do not distort the picture. A local government should know what the settlement, the city really looks like. Now, what do you say? There are many, many mirrors. It's a subjective thing. This is the image of the city, of the settlement. For example, if you went to Prague, you would have many images of the city, depending on what you have eaten, what you have seen, whom you talked to, and so on. These are the impressions. They form images of the place that you have visited. But the local government cannot use these images. The local government should have one small picture of the settlement, and for example, in the case of Prague, this is the brand. The brand should include some kind of emotion. The more emotion a brand has, the more effective the brand is. For example, in case of Prague, the motto of the city is Prague, Prague, pure emotion. So they refer to the holidaying in Prague, for example, for tourists, where they have a very good time and they get a lot of positive, good emotional impacts in the city. For example, there is a film showing the difference between the image and the brand. There is a beggar on an ugly rainy day in Brussels in the street, And you see that the passers-by throw some coins sometimes, and the image of the beggar is, I am blind, please help. You see, they just throw. And there comes a young lady, probably she is an expert in marketing or in communication, because she returns and takes the plate of the beggar and writes something in it. Meanwhile, the beggar touches her shoes to be able to recognize her later, just in case. And she puts the pen down. And what happens on an ugly rainy day? People bend respectfully and give a lot of money, a lot of coins to the beggar. And sometimes later, the young lady returns, the beggar recognizes him and asks, what did you do to my panel? What did you write? And she says, I wrote on it, it's a beautiful day and I can't see it. So everybody who has emotions will be touched by this thing, that it is an ugly rainy day, but in case of a beggar who cannot see, it could be the most beautiful day in his life if only he could see it. And this is a brand. The former, I am blind, please help. This is the image. It's a beautiful day and I can see it. This is the brand that contains emotion and emotional impact. Now let's see the brands of a city. There is an inner brand or image. There is an outer, a partner brand, and a professional brand. You see that we suppose that we are the city, we are the local government, we are Mona Lisa, which is the best known European painting perhaps. See that the inner image of the city is distorted, but usually in a positive way, because this is the image that can be found in the minds of the local population. The second is the outer or external image of the settlement that is reflected in the minds of the population of other settlements, who are usually competitors of our settlement. So therefore they are likely to see the negative things, the bad things. So this image contains some negative impacts. And there is a professional image which looks very attractive. This is the image which the local government can offer to the investors to convince them to come to the place and do investments there. And the real image actually is the partner image that is usually neglected by the local governments. They don't pay much attention to it. This is the image that could be seen in the minds of the members of the local government of the twin cities of our city, of our settlement. So the partner image could be obtained from the twin cities local governments only. If the local governments of the twin city are of the same dimension like our settlement. If there is no dimensional differences, because for example in case of Budapest, one of the twin cities of Budapest is New York, and perhaps in the local government of New York there are members who do not even know where Budapest is in Europe. So the twin cities should be of similar dimension like our city, and then the local government could ask for the opinion of the representatives of the twin city to be able to have a picture which tells the local government the true image, how they look like a sister or a brother who will tell you the real situation as well, the mistakes as well, not only the good things. Like only the good things should be stressed in the professional image of a settlement. So, how to sell the city? Let's go back to the film. Let's see the good way, the good practice of selling the city. This is actually a diagram showing the different target groups, like the local government, the very first group, the second, the main group, the operators of the capital, the investor, the chief group, and the rest of the buyers, of the theoretical buyers of the settlement. How to sell the city in a so-called good way? The first thing is to have a real picture. The local government should know what they really look like. That is the partner image. The second, they should know what is the inner image of the or internal image of the settlement. So what do the local population think about their settlement? And they should convince the local government to buy the settlement actually, and this is the first step. If it is neglected, it is worthless to continue the urban marketing at all. And then after the local population has bought the settlement, the local government can go on trying to sell the image, the brand of the settlement to the operators. The operators have the professional image, of course, from the internet. They have the outer image, the external image, because they ask their acquaintances, their relatives or friends about the city. And of course, they check, they control whether the local population has bought the settlement or not. Because the operators will deal with the settlement as a place of investment only in the case when the local population has bought it already. Otherwise, they don't care about the settlement. The operators then might offer the settlement as a site of business for the investors, the third group, the chief group. And the fourth, the sixth, and the rest of the groups usually have the external or outer image or brand of the settlement. They are the guest workers, the university students, the patients, and the tourists, the last group, the seventh group. But you see there is an arrow from the seventh group showing towards the second group. It means that the tourists might be in close connection with the operators, and they could be very, very useful platforms of urban marketing if they leave the settlement satisfied. If they leave the settlement, the city unsatisfied, they can do a lot of harm. Therefore, the interest of the local government is that the tourists should never leave the settlement with bad memories or emotions. Now, what is the result when the local population has bought the settlement? The result is a clear settlement, and there are flowers, no litter in the street, no environmental pollution, and no social pollution. That is to say, there is not too much crime in the settlement. So the result is a clear object or product to sell. Now, and one more thing, how does selling to the local population, what does selling to the local population mean? So there are three levels for the local population to buy the investment. The first is to get to know, that is the cognitive level. In case of the very first customers. The second, get to love the settlement. This is the affective level of identity feeling. And the third is to get to protect the settlement. That is the action identity level. It means that the local population do something in order to protect the settlement, or in order to keep the settlement clear. Now let's see the bad practice of urban marketing. The bad practice is when the local government does not care about learning how they really look like, so they don't have a so-called partner image or brand of their settlement, and they don't care about selling the settlement for the local population. Therefore, they don't know, the local government don't know what picture is there in the minds of the local population about the city. But they rather try to convince the operators in trying to selling the operators the city as a place for business, and they may be successful if they have good connections to the operators, or if they have good connections to the investors directly. It may work sometimes. Nevertheless, the local government does not care about selling the population to the other possible buyers. Only they concentrate, they focus on selling the city to the investors and the operators. This is the so-called bad practice, which might work if it results in building a few factories, for example, or business houses in the city. The result, otherwise, when they don't care about about selling the city to the local population, the result is a dirty place, and the physical environment is dirty, polluted. There are a lot of litters in the streets, and the social environment is also very frightful and not friendly. In a normal case, the capital, the operators and the investors will never take money or investment to such a place which looks like this, which tells anybody that the local population has not bought the settlement, so the seller themselves have not bought the settlement. Nobody wants such product which is not wanted by the seller. Now let's see the third practice of urban marketing, the ugly way of selling the settlement. Let's see the diagram again. It is we don't know whether the local government has a real picture, partner image of the settlement, and we also don't know whether the local government has sold the settlement to the local population or not. In this case, in the ugly way or practice of urban marketing, the local government mistakes urban marketing with tourism marketing, and they think that selling the city means to attract a lot of tourists to the city. So they concentrate, they focus on the tourists. And it is a question whether the settlement will be sold to operators and investors and students and so on. So this is the ugly practice of urban marketing when the tourists are in the focus. What is the result? The result can be quite a few hotels or accommodations offered for the tourists, but they are usually empty, because tourists would not visit these places. Let me give you two subjective experience in connection with this. For example, I went to a conference in Corfu Island in Greece, which is a paradise for tourists, actually, and it is as beautiful as the Gulf of Naples, for example, the Paleokastritsa place in Corfu, where this is the view from the window of our small hotel there, and I asked the waiter in this beautiful place whether someone can earn a good living on tourism in Corfu. And the waiter said, yes, I work here from May to September, but I do not earn a living on tourism. So on what? I asked. Like everybody else, he said, on olive trees. So they rely on olives. They earn a living on olives, not tourism. Even in such a place which was created by God himself for the purpose of tourism, as we could see. And the other experiment was in Italy, on the Adriatic beach, in Gatteo Mare, not far from Rimini, the very famous holidaying spaces in Italy. I, with my family, went to a hotel in Gatteo Mare, on a 5-story high hotel on the beach, where we stayed, and in the evening, the owner of the hotel sat down to our table, because when we arrived, he happened to be at the reception desk. And I told him that, oh, you must be a very rich man to own such a five level high hotel in such a beautiful place. And he said, do you think that if it were profitable, I mean the hotel, I would keep 3 floors closed? Because he kept 3 floors closed in high season, in August, on the Adriatic beach in Italy. So I mean that tourism should not be the very first target group, tourists, in case of urban marketing. So let's see the 4 major rules of urban marketing. Finally, the selling municipality must know the partner or twin image of the city in order to be able to create a good brand. The second, the first target group must be the local population. Otherwise, it is useless to continue urban marketing. The second and the third target groups must be the investors, but always through operators. And the 6th and the 7th target groups are optional, whether the city has a university or a hospital, for example. But the 7th target group is indispensable, that is the tourists. They cannot be neglected, the tourists. But they shouldn't be the very first target groups. So what happens, that tourism marketing strategy must be, therefore be part of urban marketing strategy, but cannot replace it. It is very important, because that is going to be an ugly practice. An unsatisfied tourist cannot leave the city. This is a rule. For every local government, even the tourists may prove to be very unfriendly, for example, or does something, because why? This is a responsibility of the only competent seller of the city, the municipality. And sometimes when I give lectures in Hungarian, and there are mayors, Hungarian mayors, they ask, so how can I be sure that an unsatisfied tourist should not leave my settlement, my city? And I always tell them an example about a sheriff. That happened in America, in the U.S., that a man was driving his car, and in a trolley he was carrying his donkey, and there was a big hole in the street. It was the error of the local municipality, of course, and he accidentally drove into it, and the car fell over, and the donkey was killed, and the driver was seriously injured. And after a few weeks, the driver went to court asking for compensation. And the lawyer of the municipality at the court said that I don't understand why this driver asks for compensation. This is here you can see the minutes of the accident, which was written by the sheriff, and it says that just right after the accident, the driver told the sheriff that I am totally well, I'm all right, thank you. So why do you ask for a compensation now at court? And the driver said that, let me tell you what happened. After the accident, I was lying injured under my car, and the sheriff came to me with a smoking rifle in his hand, and he said to me, your donkey was so seriously wounded that I had to shot it. And how do you feel? So this was the anecdote that I recommend for the mayors, to be sure not to let an unsatisfied tourist leave the city, at least alive. Thank you very much.